Hi, welcome to my beanie tutorial. It's super easy to make, beginner friendly, and I'll show you how to make these beanies. Oh my gosh, that's my hair. So I made this one in this tutorial, and all of these other ones that I made use the same pattern, so just follow along. Quick note, the yarn that I used is 20% wool, 80% acrylic. This was gifted to me. I try to use natural fibers, but if you have acrylic, if it's brushable, like if it looks a little fuzzy, like this one, you can kind of see it's kind of fuzzy, then you can brush it out and it'll give you a similar effect. So the type of yarn you use shouldn't really matter too much as long as you can tell that it's like you could brush it out. For this tutorial, I used a 4.5mm crochet hook, a stitch marker. This is the yarn that I used. Let me zoom out. It was gifted to me from my grandma, so it doesn't really matter what yarn you use as long as it's kind of thin is what I usually find is best. And it's like brushable, so that could be like mohair. Usually some acrylics are okay too, if that's what you have on hand. And so let's get started. You need scissors too later on. I'm gonna start with a magic circle. If you don't know how to do it, just watch this part of the video. If you do know how to do it, skip it. All right, so take the yarn and hold your two left index finger and middle finger and your thumb like this. So hold the yarn with your thumb facing down. I wrap the long tail of the yarn that's connected to the yarn ball around my index finger and my middle finger like this and cross it over to make this X shape. See this X? Okay, so now you have this X shape. I turn my fingers around like this and I stick my crochet hook underneath this loop that I just made on the other side of my two fingers. So I'm going to stick my crochet hook underneath that loop. I'm going to grab the yarn that is connected to the yarn ball and pull it under, yarn over and pull it underneath that loop that you just put your crochet hook into. And let's make sure I have the yarn. Okay, wait, let me show that again. Put the crochet hook underneath that loop, grab the yarn, and pull through, and now it's back through that loop that you just put your crochet hook in. You pull it through that, if that makes sense. All right, now that you have this loop on your hook like this, what you're going to do is you're going to take your crochet hook and grab that yarn again, the one that's connected to the yarn ball, yarn over, and make a chain with that loop that you have on your hook already. And it's gonna look messy and ugly at first, but it's fine. Just keep going. Just persevere, okay? Once you have that chain, you can loosen your grip, and now you should see that there's this circle. So you just made this circle. And there's going to be this loose end that you have and the end that is connected to the yarn ball, okay? So to really cement this magic circle, I just pull on these yarn ends, so both of them, so they don't come undone. And then I see this chain that's on my hook right now. I will tighten it so it doesn't fall off the hook. So now we have this circle. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to do a half double crochet into the circle. So you yarn over, and then in this circle, I'm catching the loose end with the circle as well. I'm going to put my yarn underneath that circle, yarn over, pull through. I have 3 loops on my hook now, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through the 3 loops on my hook. All right, so that's your first half double crochet. It's a little ugly at first, it's fine. So I like to tighten the loop of the circle right away, so I'm going to take this loose end that I have and pull on it, and it'll close that loop like that. So for your first half double crochet, I take a stitch marker and I stitch mark this stitch at the top here. So that's that V shape that you, so stitch mark that V shape that you see. So that's the first half double crochet. All right. Now for row number 1, you are going to do 6 half double crochets in total. So the other ones will also go into that hole. So yarn over and make, another half double crochet into that circle. The gauge doesn't really matter for your first round in my opinion. I kind of just do like a medium tightness. That's 3. 4. 5. And 6. All right, once you have 6 half double crochets, so this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I am going to tighten the circle as much as I can by pulling that loose yarn tail. So you pull it and you'll see that it closes that circle. Perfect. So row number 1 is just 6 half double crochets. Row number 2, we are going to increase in every single stitch. So each of these 6 stitches will get 2 half double crochets. That's what an increase means. And so in total, you will end row 2 with 12 stitches. So connecting each round is really easy. You're just going to half double crochet into that same stitch that is in the stitch marker. You don't have to do anything else. You can't really notice it, and it's just easier that way. So take the stitch marker out and half double crochet into that stitch, and this will be the start of row 2. I will stitch mark this stitch. There we go. And so since each stitch is getting an increase, that's our first half double crochet. We have to make 2. So I'm going to half double crochet in that same stitch again, and then every other stitch gets an increase. So 2 half double. It cut off there. I was saying just do 2 more half double crochets in that next stitch and then continue. Each stitch gets 2 half double crochets. Okay, row 3, I'm back at the stitch marker now. So I'm going to take the stitch marker out again. I'm going to, okay, let me move that to you. Going to yarn over and make a half double crochet into that same stitch that the stitch marker was in. And I'm going to mark this stitch. So this will be the first stitch of row number 3. And row number 3 will be 1 increase in the first stitch. So that same stitch that you just did a half double crochet in, you do 1 more half double crochet. So now there's 2 in that stitch. And then 1 normal half double crochet in the next stitch. So no increase. Oh, that's not a half double crochet. There we go. Okay, so 1 increase, then the next stitch is a half double crochet, then the stitch after that is an increase. So 2 half double crochets into the same stitch. And then the next stitch is just 1 half double crochet. So the pattern is 1 increase, 1 half double crochet, 1 increase, 1 half double crochet, 1 increase, 1 half double crochet, and so on and so forth until you reach the stitch marker again. So that's 1 half double crochet, and so now I do an increase and now continue the pattern, and I will come back once I'm done this row. Okay, there, I'll be back. Okay, now for the next row, row 4, half double crochet directly into that same stitch that is in the stitch marker was in. There we go. And we're going to start this row with an increase as well. For the next like 13 or so rows, you always start the first stitch with an increase. And then the next 2 stitches will just have 1 half double crochet. And so you'll probably see the pattern. Next 2 stitches, 1 half double crochet and then an increase. So you do an increase, then 2 half double crochets, then an increase, then 2 half double crochets, and you just continue doing that around the circle. So that was an increase, so now I have 1, 2 normal half double crochets, then an increase on this 3rd stitch here. So 1 half double, what am I doing? 1 half double crochet, and then another half double crochet into the next stitch. Oh my god, this tail is bothering me. There we go. So just 1 in these next 2, and then after an increase in this one. So there'll be 2 in this same stitch here. Okay, just to really cement it, we have an increase, and then in the next stitch is just 1 half double crochet. And then the one after that is also just 1. And then an increase. So increase, 2 half double crochets, increase, 2 half double crochets, and keep doing that all the way around the circle. If you mess up, honestly, it does not matter. You will not notice. No one will notice. It's not noticeable, so don't frog your whole thing if you mess up, honestly. Just keep going. All right, and I'll come back. Okay, I think this is row 5, but anyways, for the next row, take this stitch marker out again, half double crochet directly into that same stitch. Mark the stitch with the stitch marker, and again you're going to do an increase in that same stitch that you just did a half double crochet in, and then this time you're going to do 3 half double crochets, just 1 into each of the next 3 stitches, and then an increase, 3 half double crochets, increase, 3, and you get the idea. So you'll just, why do I keep doing that? You'll just keep doing that same increase in patterns for the next few rows, and I'll put a chart or like a little screenshot if I'm not lazy to show you. And so I'm doing 3 half double crochets, and then an increase, and then 3 half double crochets in the next 3 stitches. So there's 1 half double crochet, 2, and 3, and then after 3 we do an increase. This will be an increase, and then keep going and meet me at the end. And you can just keep doing this pattern and increase by 1 each time of how many half double crochets you do between each of the increases up until you have 13 or 12 of the half double crochets in between the increases, and I'll show you how big that measures for me. And if your head is bigger or smaller, you just do less or more. So I'll come back around to the next row and then I'll keep showing you. All right, next row, which is row 5, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to do an increase into that stitch mark stitch like usual. So first I'm going to stitch mark this first stitch. So that'll be the start of row 5. Do an increase, and then in between the next increase I will do 4 half double crochets and then an increase. So 1 half double crochet in the next 4 stitches. Oh, if I could do it properly. One, 2, 3. Oh my god. 3, 4. All right, and then an increase. Okay, so we get the point. Just keep doing that. For the increase, you'll do 4 half double crochets and then another increase. Just keep continuing that all the way around, and then just keep going and going and going, adding just 1 more half double crochet in between until we reach a certain point. And I'll put the screenshot somewhere if I can edit it, if I can figure out how to do that. And just keep going. All right, now next row is row 6, and I'm going to do an increase, then 5 half double crochets, increase, half double crochets, increase, 5 half double crochets, and then go around again, and I'll come back once I'm done. All right, so starting the next row, this row is row 7, I believe. Yeah, so again, going to do an half double crochet, increase into that stitch marked stitch, then stitch mark this first one, do an increase, and then this time we're going to do 6 half double crochets in between the next increase. So 6 half double crochets and then an increase, and then keep doing that pattern again until you reach the end. Next row we're going to do increase 7 half double crochets, increase 7 half double crochets, increase 7 half double crochets, and continue till you get back to the stitch marker. Okay, next row, row 9, you are going to do an increase, then 8 half double crochets, increase, 8 half double crochets, increase, 8, continue until you're back. Row 10, you are going to increase, do 9 half double crochets, increase, 9 half double crochets, increase, 9 half double crochets, continue. All right, you know the drill. Row 11, you're going to do increase, then you're going to do 10 half double crochets, increase, 10 half double crochets, increase, and continue. All right, row 12, you are going to do increase, 11 half double crochets, increase, 11 half double crochets, increase, 11, continue. Sometimes at the end, you'll be missing like a stitch. Instead of like 11, you'll be doing 10. Honestly, it doesn't matter. That happened to me. It doesn't matter. You're not going to notice. Just keep going, okay? Okay, so for the next row, you're going to increase, then do 12 half double crochets, increase, then 12, increase, then 12. After this row, I'll show you what to check for when you're putting it on your head to see if you need extra rows or not. So I'll come back after that. Put your project on your head, and if it covers the crown of your head, which it does for me, usually the top of my forehead, then I stop doing increases here and I just continue with only half double crochets with no increases. If it's too big, then you can take a couple rows out, just frog it. If it's too small, add a couple more increase rows until you feel like the curve of your head is covered, like what mine is right now. Just do the same pattern for increasing, and then from now we're just going to do half double crochets all the way around, so it's super easy. The final row, when you get the right length that you want, I just do a row of single crochets and then tie off, but that's just preference. Just quickly, if you want to measure the diameter, at that point it was 6.5 inches. Okay, I lost my stitch marker, but it doesn't matter. So I stopped increasing after row number 13, so that was after 12 half double crochets in between the increases. If you need to adjust it, and then for the rest of the rows up until I get the length that I want, I just do half double crochets all the way around and then stitch mark each start of the round like normal, and just keep going and going and going until you get the exact length that you want. I'll count how many rows I do for this example if you want, and I'll come back and let you know. But just as a quick thing, like just half double crochet like normal. Just mark that first stitch with the stitch marker. This will be the start of your next row. So for me, this is row 14. And then I just do half double crochet in each stitch, nothing crazy, really easy. Just keep going around and around and around. And then I'll come back once I get the length that I want, and I'll tell you exactly how many rows that was. So I'm gonna stop here, just right above my eyebrows. I did 14 rows of half double crochets. If you want it longer, you can just go ahead and add more rows. It's just preference. If you're going to brush the yarn out, I usually do it a little bit shorter, because when you brush it, it gets bigger, like it tends to loosen up more. So if I brush this, it'll probably go like to my eyebrows like that. Okay, so I did 14 rows of half double crochets. For this last row, I usually do single crochet, like a row of single crochet. So I'm going to start doing that, and again, mark this first stitch, and then that's where we're gonna tie off when we're finished. So go ahead and do a row of single crochets all the way around, and I'll meet you back again. Okay, let's finish this project. So I did the row of single crochet. I'm gonna cut off a little tail like that. You can make it longer if you want, up to you. And then in this stitch marked stitch, I'm going to do a slip stitch I should have made a longer tail actually. So slip stitch, and then after the slip stitch, I'm gonna make a chain and tighten it. So that's the end. And then I'm just gonna quickly weave this in. So I usually go like underneath like that, and then weave it in a couple areas and stuff, just like that, and you're pretty much good to go. You can weave in this original tail too. I'm just kind of lazy, so I usually don't do it, but up to you. And you're done your project. For this one, I'm not gonna brush out. I kind of like the way it looks not brushed out. I do have this one, which is actually the same yarn brand exactly, just in gray, and I did brush this one out, and I kind of like that fuzzy look on this one. It's like kind of subtle, but that one's brushed out. I also made a blue one that I brushed out a little bit. I made this mountain one with the same pattern. I just used like this reference grid mountain to do the gray coloring for that. If you want a tutorial for that, let me know. This one I brushed out too, and it's kind of fluffy and soft, so just go crazy with it, and then adjust it however you like. This was a thicker yarn, so I actually did 12 rows of or 13 rows of increase, and then did the half double crochets. So just like adjust it based on the type of yarn that you're using too. And good luck. My last quick note, I use a brush like this to brush it out. It's not the best, but anything with bristles, if you just lightly brush it out, like I'll show you. I literally just put it against, like down on the table, and I just go like this. That's all I do. Really easy, and just keep going until you get the, like, I don't know if you can see it, but if you can get the fluffy part as fluffy as you want it to, that's all I do. So in case you're wondering how I brush it, I just do that, and just be gentle. You don't have to be too gentle, but it gets that nice like fluffiness on it. I'm pretty sure this is actually an acrylic yarn, so it does work for acrylic. I don't like plastic, so I try not to use acrylic, but I just had this. It was also gifted to me, and yeah, so that's how you brush it.